Hello, and welcome to episode 64. God, that's a lot. Of Flesh and Pod. I am your host, Logan, and with me, as always, is somebody that cannot be identified by anyone who's ever met him, Darick Oswald. Darick, what did you get up to in Flesh and Blood this week?
I love that you are just going with Darick Oswald at this point. You're not even attempting anything that starts with Char.
Pointless.
Meanwhile,
Pointless.
Flake sent me a list of like 500 words that start with Char. So like all week long, it's been like, hey, Chariot. Hey, like Charmin Ultra. Like just anything you can think of that starts with C-H-A-R. And then that bit on instant speed, I don't mean to derail us right out of the gate, but I am telling you, it is my favorite bit ever. And it is my understanding that there is going to be more of it. It's going to be a recurring thing because both Tannen and I have sent him additional photos and it is going to get better. I've seen some of the photos. I know the first one was already great because Jacob fell for the bit.
He did. He walked right into it.
So if you're not familiar, go watch the Go Again segment on instant speed. But
hashtag no free ads. But
yeah,
subscribe to the instant speed Patreon just so you can watch the Go Again segment with Jacob Bertrand from Cobra Kai, who also is a Flesh and Blood player and a very fun individual, honestly. And it is quite possibly the greatest bit that has been done in Flesh and Blood so far. It is priceless and no notes perfect 11 out of 10. So not just because we want Flake to have money, because we do, but because
I don't know why, though.
I ask myself that a lot as I like have his packages are shipped to my house. He no longer ships things to himself. He ships them to me, and then I have to mule that to him so he doesn't have to pay the shipping to Canada.
You think that's bad? You should. I will not describe, because this is a family friendly show, what he forces me to do with his package, but let me just say it's worse than muling.
I mean, it's really not, mainly because it's easy to fit. But the point being that you should go watch that segment because yes, there's a reason that it's just Darick. I'm not.
Yeah, it's just Darick.
I can't feed into.
And that's fine.
No,
that's fine.
So Darick, what did you get up to in Flesh and Blood?
I got up to not a lot, unfortunately, because Armory was supposed to be on Wednesday and I had some stuff come up at work, and then I was already running late and I was going to have to borrow a deck, and I was just going to drive straight from work to my Armory. And then I got a text message from my wife that on Wednesday she was not feeling well. And so I came home and played medic and did the dad duty thing. So I didn't get to go to my Armory. And my time on Talishar this week has not been the greatest. I have already started my Theorycraft project, if you will, as we start to get more spoilers. I'm trying to say, okay, what are the cards that I think are noteworthy? What are the ones that inspire me to build, that sort of thing? And I have started sorting out all of my assassin stuff, because basically at this point I've decided, like, don't get me wrong, I love Bravo, I will always love Bravo, but I've decided that whether it is Arachne or Uzuri, I'm gonna be an assassin main once this set launches. Like I'm gonna pick one and I'm gonna go with it. So I've started sorting the stuff. I want to have everything in place so that when Outsiders hits, I can do my thing.
Yeah, I totally understand. I mean, my soft spot is Katsu and Dragon Shield. Go fuck yourself, Dragon Shield. It is it is 9:21 p.m. Central Standard Time on February 20th, 2023. It has been an hour since their little fucking retweet project hit 1,000 retweets, and I still don't know what the card Dishonor does. I know I want to. I just don't know what it does yet, and I should, because they said 1,000 retweets, motherfuckers, and it is at 1,000, and we're recording, which obviously means we will not know before this show ends, and at 3 a.m. Central Standard Time, the spoiler channels and all my Discords will light up, and I'll be like, yep, nothing changes. Nothing ever fucking changes. It's always the same. But my Flesh and Blood was a fuck all. because my armory got snowed out on Thursday, the one that I run locally. And then I was doing something that I haven't done in over a year. I was vending magic. Um,
What?
I am the player to be named later for that group, mainly because I'm very expensive. I don't get out of bed for a certain amount of money. I also don't get into bed unless there's a certain amount of money involved, but that's all negotiable. And you know who you are. And so I was vending magic, and the armory started before that. It was also a CC armory, so I probably wouldn't have played anyway because it's kind of stale right now. I don't really want to. If I needed to dig, if I hadn't won a cold foil spider's bite already, I probably would have played. Just played
Yeah, I
Briar
still
and
need
hoped a
mine.
high roll.
That was why I was like, I'll borrow a deck because I still don't have my reverse, right? The promo, yeah. So
I mean, I can get you one pretty easily if you need one. But
I know, but I like earning mine. You know, there's
I
just
do
something
too.
about.
I know. I'm the same way. I will never, and I'm not deriding anybody that does. I need to be 100% clear. But when it comes to things that are prizes, I feel like I have to earn them. Otherwise, it doesn't feel right. So like
I have a weird thing. If it is something that I'm just doing for what I consider like my collection purposes and I don't have my own like personal attachment to it, I have no problem with picking it up. Like it's plenty of cold foil promos that I've, thrown some money at or whatever because I might play it down the line. But when it comes to like the Guardian promos, so like when we had some of the old him ones, right, I was like, I need, even though I very rarely play it, but like I need to win Titan's Fist, and of course now that's super relevant because of the whale ban. And it's kind of the same thing with this. Like I know I'm going to play Assassin, right, and so I just really want to win this so that I can be like, hey, I won the Arachne cold foil, I won the Spider's Bite, this is my thing. I don't know. It's weird, right? Like if it was the Azalea promo, I would throw some money on it and I wouldn't even care. Yeah, sorry, Cult of Azalea. It's just that one's not for me. That's all I'm saying.
Most of the most of my mind goes towards I won't buy gold foils, but it's still like I want to earn like if it's something I could have earned as a prize, I want to earn it. What I did do though, because I was bored vending, was I just went and bought a box of history pack. Because why not? They're usually pretty juiced. This one was no different. We opened Metacarpus Node, which is pretty good. Enlightened Strike, okay. Grasp of the Arknight, we're doing fine. And CNC, it's worth one. It's worth the 120 I spent on the box in 4 cards. Sounds great. And then I had I'd piggybacked on a buddy's order for a fairly cheap case of Arcane Rising, and it showed up damaged. And so the bottom 2 boxes of the case were just turbo fucked. Like the bottoms were caved in. And so I'm like, okay, well, here's one of the boxes. I'm going to pop this one open and see how bad the bottom packs are. And they're pretty well bent. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to pop these 2 packs then because it's irrelevant. And inside these 2 packs were Arcanite Skullcap and Command and Conquer.
Naturally.
And I'm like, naturally. Now, the CNC was not messed up at all. It was in the middle of the pack, didn't take any damage. There's a giant dog ear in the Arcanite Skullcap, though. And I'm like, fucking of course, obviously. But yeah, that's all I did was pop packs because it sounded like fun. I was bored. And for whatever reason, Zach Cash, you met Zach in Indy. He has like the golden touch of grabbing the right box to hand to people. I don't get it. It doesn't actually have any sort of bearing on any sort of anything. It just happens to be a thing. And yeah, I said, hey, pick whatever one that you want to pick. So he like digs back and he's like touching these boxes of history pack. And he's like, yeah, it's this one. And I'm like, whatever, dude. Sure. Okay, fine. I guess I'll be a pseudo believer at this point. Pig fucker. But yeah, otherwise that's really all I did. Like it was a pretty down week. It's funny because due to me being gone and I run the armories on Thursdays, And then the snowstorm that we had on Thursday, we'll have like a triple armory this Thursday. So there'll be 3 spider spites up for grabs. And
If I was local, I would be there in a minute.
yep, it is Arcane Rising Unlimited Draft with all the pricing. So I'm expecting a bit of a turnout for this one. And I've got enough product to cover it, so we'll be fine. I'm very much so the type of person that will just provide products because it's hard to get for game stores. Like distributors don't have it, and I will chase it down. But yeah, so that's if you're more than welcome to come. We would love to have you if you wanted to drive or fly from Michigan for a triple RQ draft armory.
It's tempting.
It is tempting. I get it. We got more Outsiders cards, Darick. Like,
we do.
We're gonna
even
get
though we don't have the Katsu one.
Will you fucking stop?
I keep refreshing. I'm waiting for us to finish recording and then it'll pop up. But because I have it in another window here, and I'm refreshing as you talk, just waiting.
I appreciate it. Like, it does help me, but because I don't have to do it then. But the card name I know is Dishonor. I know it's a blue that costs 0 that blocks for 3, and it's a majestic. And I'm guessing it's Katsu's legendary specialization. And that is all I know. But we do know Riptide's legendary specialization in the set. It's a fucking doozy. So they did say that Riptide was going to be trap based. And they gave us a trap.
Yeah. They gave us a trap. Here, I'll do the honors here because I'm really excited for this card. The legendary specialization.
You have a very pleasant reading voice too. So.
I do. Oh wow, that is horrific. If you think that, I am not an ASMR kind of guy, but I will let you take that drink that you're so desperate for.
Is that extra? Do I have to pay extra for the ASMR? Is that how that works? I don't know what that actually means.
Extra.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm paying
the
extra.
Legendary Riptide specialization is Collapsing Trap. So the card itself is a majestic, but it is a legendary specialization. So 1 of in your deck. It is a blue pitch, 0 cost, ranger defense reaction, and it is a trap. Now it is worth noting that unlike previous traps, this one can be played from hand. So there's going to be some errata that happens to the 3 existing traps so that they essentially have the requirement to play from Arsenal on their card text, and then the trap kind of tag for cards will only allow you to reference them, but it will no longer be a requirement. So this is something that can be played from hand. And that's important because this is a really powerful effect. And so without further ado, when this defends an attack with Go Again, the attacking hero discards their hand, then draws that many cards -1, and it has a block value of 3. So this again has a blue pitch. So if you don't need it in a pinch, then you can pitch it or maybe set something up for later. Again, 0 cost, blocks for 3. Obviously not sink below value, but still very, very solid, especially at 0. But the real interesting bit for me is how disruptive this is for 2 reasons. First, because this is specifically something you want to defend against a Go Again attack. Usually when somebody is attacking with Go Again, it's because they have a game plan, right? That's the start of their turn, and they've already planned out their sequence of attacks. And so this defends an attack, and it's not even an attack action card, it's an attack. So even if they start with something like a Kodachi, this will trigger, right? And then they have to discard their hand and draw that many cards -1. So they are going to be down a card at a minimum, but also whatever plan they had in mind with the rest of their hand, that goes out the window, and now they have to like rethink their entire turn. So this is a very disruptive thing. The last thing that stands out to me is that it is also discards their hand. It's not like, oh, they put it on the bottom. So that is very relevant if in the rest of their hand, they had some of their really powerful attacks. So if there's other legendary specializations in this set and you happen to catch theirs in their hand with this, you could really shift the tide of the battle. Pun very much intended with this. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. It is a wall of text, and a ton of this card is bait. That's the trap part, right? Like we're talking about a trap. So, like, if you attack with a thing and part of your plan was to Snapdragon your first attack, you have to start being real wary. Like, if they have it, this could be very bad. And it's kind of like in an inverted is that all you got in that way, where it's still going to, like, the card economy portion of it's the exact same. But and there's still the addendum of is it has to defend a certain type of attack, but it's so powerful to just disrupt on that level, that in those turns where they, you look like you got a plan. That's great. You no longer have a plan, and you have to come up with a new shit on the fly. And if it costs you, if it costs you a piece of equipment, we're like, okay, part of my plan is to use the scalers to do the thing, break my Snapdragons. Cool. Ditch your hand afterwards. Yep. And draw that -1, so you're down a card. And what do you got? Is it anything? Is it better? Is it worse? But at the very least, you blocked something, and it's a blue. There's just so many good things about this card. I do think that they understood how good this card was as far as the text goes when they designed it. I don't want to worship the Ultra Brian Gottlieb, but it's pretty good on you to understand that this has got to be a legendary specialization, because 3 of these in a deck is just backbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be just from a value standpoint alone, even if you take the disruption part out of it, right? Because this already blocks for 3 for 0, and the net result is -1 card in your opponent's hand, right? Even if you go just standard baseline values of a 0 for 3, right? That's a pretty standard. You pay 0 for a 3 to buff an attack with a non-attack, or a 0 for 3 attack, whatever, right? This is essentially a pay 0, defend as much as 6 damage because they're down that card.
Right.
And that's not counting disruption. That's also not counting some of the other like fun shenanigans that you can pull, where even if they weren't going to be attacking following the go again, right? If the attack had go again, but they only had 1 card left, then you're denying an arsenal, which is also a very big tempo play. Like, there's so much involved with this card that I think that it had to be a legendary because it's doing a lot of work.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what I'm curious about is whether or not we are going to see cards that get it back or shuffle it back in. And this also makes me think about some of the things, speaking of Brian, that he has said in the past about you have to watch Remembrance, not because Remembrance itself is necessarily bad, but they don't want to get into a position where Remembrance kind of becomes mandatory because of the power level of the stuff you're shuffling back. Does that make sense? So
it makes total sense.
It's one of those things. Now, Remembrance, that's not like the card that you're worried about here, because this is a defense reaction, right? But it is those effects, so
those types of things, the design space, really.
Right.
Yeah, that's, I mean, exactly correct. And it's amusing to me because this card was designed thinking that Briar would be gone before this was ever released. And boy, does this jam Briar up pretty fucking hard. It's like, you made an embodiment of lightning, huh? In Michael Hamilton voice, sorry for your luck, bud.
I mean, really, all of the heroes coming in this set, it hits pretty hard. Azalea has the ability to go tall, potentially, but like when you think about your Katsus, your Benjis, what we know from Arachne thus far, we haven't seen the other assassin, but I can't imagine it's that far off as well, right? And then, we don't know what the Riptide mirror is going to look like yet. That's actually one of the things I'm really interested in, because it's just going to be like, do you even want to attack into somebody's traps?
Super frightening. Like, the Riptide mirror is terrifying to me.
But ultimately, like, this is, I think, something that has the potential to shine a lot in limited. Certainly disrupt the existing meta as we know it, but also potentially the future meta once we get this outsider support.
Yeah, right. 100% true. And I think that we're definitely going to see some very interesting things come across, and I'm really fascinated as to what we're going to see, generically speaking, from how these classes operate differently. Are they? I mean, it wouldn't make any sense, right, for both ninjas to be hyper aggro in the set. It doesn't make any sense, because then they're just fighting over the same things, and I don't think that's what you want to be. So if you want to put your money on it, the more defensive ninja would be Katsu, going back to Katsu's roots of Turtle Katsu, and then Benji would be your more aggressive. We already know how Azalea plays. It's fairly aggressive, and now we're getting our first hints of how Riptide plays, which is not aggressive. It's disruptive. And there's plenty, and Azalea has plenty of disruption too. They're all very good at what they do in the other side of the coin too. So I'm very interested in how all of this works. And then we've spent a lot of time talking about contract versus not contract when it comes contract versus affliction.
Yeah.
When
I
it comes to
think
Assassin.
Arachne is going to be contract heavy, and I've already decided mentally that if that is his like designated archetype, I'm going to call it Contractney. I know. I can see the look on your face.
Yeah.
I know that you hate it. I hate saying it because it sounds like he's contracted acne, but then when you look at his art, it kind of makes sense. That's why he wears the mask. So I'm sticking with it.
So what we need is to get him a Provigila subscription or a prescription and help him clear that up.
He
and that,
is
are
the
you saying
Phantom
that
of the Opera, but
the thing on his back is just a giant boil that he just needs some medication for?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
He has a a bit of a facial complexion issue and a cyst.
A cyst.
Yeah,
but it's not obviously okay. I'm not doing this. Okay. Moving on. We also got Peace of Mind this week. This is the Team Covenant promo on hashtag no free ads. But this was revealed. You want to do the honors for this one too?
Sure, because I can be angry. So you're talking about Peace of Mind, correct?
Yeah.
This is an interesting card for a number of reasons. So Peace of Mind is part of a cycle. So there is a red, a yellow, and a blue. It costs 2. And it says, for the red one, we'll start with that, and then you can kind of scale down. The red one says, the next time you would be dealt physical damage. Now, they used a little arrow icon, and I have immediately thought, like, man, we need a damage icon for Arcane, just because I think that would clean things up.
It would.
Let's say the next time you would deal physical damage would be dealt, physical damage this turn, prevent 4 of that damage, and then create a ponder token. Now, there's going to be some obvious comparisons to Oasis Respite because Respite prevents 4 damage and it's not just physical and it costs 1 less and it can potentially heal you 1. However, a couple of things to note. 1, this is a great limited card because Oasis Respite isn't in Outsiders. But also, to me, the thing that stands out is the Ponder token because there are a number of classes in this set that really care about the arsenal. I'm looking at you, Rangers, but also, potentially if you're trying to set up combos and you're playing Ninja, for example, getting the right key pieces lined up could be very relevant. And so creating this Ponder token, allowing you to draw that card, give you a little bit more gas, etc. I think that's a pretty big deal. So I like this card. I saw some people panic because they were like, who wants to give Oldhim even more tools? I don't know. Oldhim as it wasn't necessarily all in on Oasis Respite, and I don't even know if like that means that you run this as well or in place of.
Let's have the talk. It's time to have the talk. Are you ready for the talk?
Yeah, sure. I'm ready. I'm ready for the talk.
Your problem here is Crown of Seeds.
Right.
Because now it is we are going to just run Sledge because fuck Shield. And when we play, even if we're just playing, let's say, the reds and the blues of this, along with Respites or whatever, and going even more full turtle, it turns into a Crown. Pay for one of these effects. If it's this effect specifically, you then get a Ponder token. The Ponder token guarantees your arsenal at the end of your turn. Rinse, repeat. Over and over and over again. And that's obnoxious. Block 5s for the cost of effectively 2 cards on 1 attack and guaranteeing you your next arsenal plays straight into that game plan. And it feels like that could be something that they lean into a little bit more. However, I think that is just panicking from the masses. I do think it's a good card. I think it's a great limited card. I think this is a fantastic limited card. I
Yeah.
don't think it's the end of the world.
Yeah, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think okay, so I think for me the real thing that stands out is that this is a tall block, and this is already something that Guardian has a lot of in its toolbox and arguably better options in its toolbox. So I didn't really think that giving them another tall block, Guardian specifically, was that big of a deal, because with Assassin and with Ninja and potentially, you know, some of these Ranger things getting more tools, I suspect the go wide game plan is a lot more relevant. Like, who really cares about blocking 4 if it's like Kadachi, you know, swing for 1 more, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, Crown still amazing, Rampart still amazing potentially in those scenarios, but I don't think Peace of Mind really sways it in that regard. Now, I will say that the thing that jumps out to me about this, however, is the fact that it is an instant. Yeah. And that is relevant because it gets around dominate effects. And so again, when you're talking about limited and Azalea, I think that's a great potential tool there. And the other thing is that it is really good into like Dory.
That's it fucks up Warrior pretty bad.
Yeah, because you're not technically blocking with a card from hand. You're playing a card from hand to prevent damage, but that is not the same as blocking. So there are matchups where this tends to really shine. I just don't know that the meta today is in a place where this makes it any better. This feels more like a win more in the current meta. Now, I could see you running, you know, one or the other, or maybe you split the difference based on preferences, right? But I don't think that it's like, oh, you know, they're just even more tools, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know. Now, the other thing I want to complain about here is just that the Team Covenant exclusive promo has beautiful art. Groot, I absolutely adore it. And it's basically got a picture of Groot on it, but just in general. I mean, both of the cards have outstanding artwork, but yeah, the Groot one is just kind of adorable. And I'm upset because I don't have the subscription to Team Covenant or whatever, so I don't know how I'm going to get my hands on them, but I want them.
Shell out money to people who do. That's typically how that works. Or I guess I don't have any other answer unless Zach Bunn wants to just hand them to us, which I don't think he does. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't listen to the show, although I did find out that at very least Roger does from the Manor podcast. And hi, buddy. All those references to you being Michael Hamilton's butler. Yeah, I'm standing by him. But love you. Thank you for being a listener and being cool. And we do enjoy you and everything you do. But hashtag no free ads, though. And I don't think that this card is anything. It's not that it's nothing to write home about. It's just not a sky is falling scenario. I think it's a very good, I think it's a fantastic limited card, and I'm glad it's here for that purpose. It does make interplay more interesting in limited. Respite did too. But in this case, a lot of people were panicking because it's tools for Oldham, and it's like you're taking a deck that really didn't need anything else, and you're going to try to cram this into it. I could see it if you wanted to just be a sledge deck. Okay, fine. Otherwise, why bother? Last one, and this is, I believe, I don't think that we've seen confirmation, but it would make sense to be Riptide's token weapon, Barbed Castaway. Do the honors, Mr. Movie Voice.
So it has to be his token weapon, just because Azalea technically already has a token weapon, and since we know the living legend format, the hero and their token weapon go. That's why everyone's like waiting for Briar to LL, just because they hate Thorn, for example. And this is a token, so we kind of put 2 and 2 together here. But Ranger weapon, Barbed Castaway. Once per turn instant, for 1 pitch, you may put an arrow card from your hand face up into your arsenal. Also, once per turn instant, for 1 red pitch, or just 1 pitch, you may turn a face down arrow in your arsenal face up. If you do, put an aim counter on it. So this is interesting for a couple of reasons. We saw aim counters start to pop up, and obviously we saw the bow in Dynasty, so we knew that there was likely going to be a stronger emphasis on it in the future. I kind of hope that Riptide isn't just strictly all traps, but that he also leans a bit heavy into the aim thing, because I like the idea of, thematically, hear me out, like you catch somebody in your trap and then you take your time to set up the aim and just like one shot the person in the trap, right? Thematically, that makes sense to me. And so here you've got your ability to, you can just load an arrow once per turn as an instant. Now it is once per turn as an instant, so just like with like Voltaire and whatever, if you run a New Horizon, you can jam stuff in on your opponent's turn, jam it in on your turn. All those tricks are still there. But also you can turn face down arrows face up to put aim counters on them. Now the one downside though is that you can't like do both with the same effect, because the one is you put an arrow card face up and the other one has to flip it. So it's not like you pay one to load and then pay one to put the aim counter on, but it does still give you some flexibility. And it's also a little bit of a bummer just because it's specifically the flip. So I'm thinking back to the quiver that we talked about on a previous episode that was revealed. The quiver also puts the arrow face up. I suspect they don't want you loading too many face down options, just because that might make Azalea a bit too strong and limited. So that might be part of it, but I don't know. I like the idea of aim counters popping up more frequently, and I still feel like the bow from Dynasty, we've all been kind of poo-pooing it, but I think that we might be looking back at that after this set releases and going, maybe I do want to run that.
Yeah, it feels like we're in that spot where we're getting confirmation that aim counters are a big deal, when we've been talking the last few weeks about we think aim counters are going to be a big deal. And that's great. I love to feel not stupid. I most of the time feel pretty stupid. So in this case, and we know this is Riptide's weapon because it's linked to him in the Living Legend section on the website. So whenever Riptide is gone, Barb Castaway goes with him. And this card doesn't, I mean, it reeks of a token weapon, right? It doesn't do a ton, but it does enough in limited when you build around aim counters. And that leads me to believe that Riptide is attacking focuses more on aim counters, and defending focuses more on go fuck yourself, which is a great defense. Like if you've ever been in an argument and you just wanted to end it, you just go fuck yourself. And usually that ends the conversation one way or the other. One way is they walk away. The other one is maybe they hit you. Either way.
We do not condone domestic violence.
What's domestic about it? We're talking about bars. And I mean, I guess I don't condone that violence either. At any rate, I don't condone violence. Let's go that route.
I just don't need our legal team calling us.
Our legal team is a trash can next to Jordan Kennedy's desk. I'm pretty sure we're not too worried about our legal team.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think that this, like, again, there isn't much about this weapon that makes me interested outside of the fact that I got to think about how this works in limited, and it's a build around weapon for limited. That's what it feels like. And that seems great. If that's what its use case is, fantastic. It probably, looking at the art, it's going to look sweet as a cold foil, and that's about it. And it's in the March Armory kit as a cold foil.
Yeah, so for me, again, that's kind of why I was talking about like the idea of Riptide potentially leaning into the aim counter thing, because I like it thematically. But for me, everything about this card was all about the inferences you make. It's not about the card directly. It's about the fact that, hey, Riptide's weapon is putting an emphasis on aim counters, and that makes sense. You probably only want one like supercharged aimed attack because the rest of your hand is for traps anyway, right? You're not likely to be doing the go wide thing with Riptide. Could be wrong, but this is the way that I get the feeling or the vibes from Riptide, right? Like you do your traps, you fire one like great whatever arrow. The other reason that I think that this weapon's like, again, not the real deal, if you will, is because, again, when you look back at the Dynasty bow, the big difference between the two is that the Dynasty bow is you can look at the top card of your deck and then you can put an arrow from your hand or
or
your
the top of your
deck.
deck. Yep.
And then anytime an arrow is put face up in your arsenal from your deck, you put the aim counter on it. And so, as I had just mentioned with the quiver doesn't work with Castaway. Quiver does work with the Sandscour Great Bow. So I suspect your constructed version of Riptide is going to be trap heavy, and then you just try to fire like one good arrow with an aim counter per turn.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you get it both ways with the quiver and everything else, and it just makes sense. It feels like there's things coming together that are larger plans.
Yes.
Versus sort of a self-contained ecosystem of outsiders. And I mean, we kind of knew that was going to be how it worked when we only had one draftable set last year.
Shh. I'm trying to forget that.
Well, I mean, we're giving LSS all the credit today, today, whatever, because they've done a very good job outside of some things that are uncontrollable on our part, but they've done a very good job of managing spoiler seasons, managing how these cards get out, managing the hype around the cards, making things epic in every way, shape, and form, and then giving us stuff to talk about that is not a deluge of information, but more of enough to keep the community wanting versus like the things you see in Magic, which is literally perpetual spoiler season. And I know that I said that I think I'm quoting myself when I said nothing but positivity today, motherfuckers. On Twitter, and I mean it. I feel very positive towards everything that LSS has brought up and announced in this last week, really the last couple of weeks. I think that they're doing a tremendous job of handling outsiders, handling the community, talking, saying the quiet parts out loud that they maybe shouldn't, like a lot of places wouldn't say, and instead making sure that we know what they're working on and that what they want to be better at. And we're not here to say that they're perfect. They're not. However, I do believe that they are conscientiously working to be better, and that's really all I require. Of anything, anyone, or any company. Has that spoiler come out yet? Do I know what Dishonor does yet?
No.
Fuck Dragon Shield. Okay.
There's also the other one that somebody teased with just the image, and we're supposed to investigate it. I have that thread open as well, as people are trying to figure out. It looks like it's a trap because there's the Riptide looking in the background, and he's got like the meat hook thing going. But yeah, I don't know what that one does yet either.
Yeah, we're gonna have
it's a
Mara.
Recorded show, but we're giving you live updates that aren't actually live because you're listening to this.
You'll already know by the end of this, but we're gonna have Mara just start editing every instance of Riptide to be Tony Todd's Candyman because he's just using hooks to jam into people. One of the things that LSS did do this week, though, is give us, surprisingly, honestly, with no real announcement or fanfare beforehand, some organized play announcements, which, great. That's fantastic. I thought it was really funny that they released a video that was showing in rapid succession all the tweets from the EU players about callings in the EU. But use that video to announce the EU callings that are coming up in Antwerp and Birmingham. So the tongue-in-cheek nature amuses the ever-loving shit out of me. Because they knew that they had stuff going on, and they just like patient. Okay, fuckers here. And that's great. We're also getting Battle Hardens in Richmond, Virginia, and which I think is an SCG con. And then the Metropole Ruhr, which I'm really hoping I said that right, but I'm not a polyglot. I don't know what I'm doing really. So that's very cool. I'm very happy that our EU friends are getting some love and well deserved, especially the first. Birmingham will be the first calling in England. So I think that that's interesting in and of itself. Even though that they've had in the UK they've had they've had their Nats, and they've had a few other. I think they've had a couple other large events, although I'm not entirely sure. But this is their first calling, and that's great. I'm happy that that's there. Antwerp, man, if I could go to Antwerp, I 1,000% would go to Antwerp and just be drunk the entire time. However, pretty sure that plane ticket's more expensive than I'm trying to foot. And but that's really tempting. Richmond, Virginia. Have I ever told you about the best chicken and waffles I've ever had in my life? I think you were at the table and I discussed this.
Yes. Because
Yes.
then I was like, I want chicken and waffles now.
Yeah, battle hardened chicken and waffles is what we'd go to Richmond for, because that's where that restaurant is, called Comforts. It's in Richmond, Virginia. And I shit you not, listener, Derek's heard this. I had the best chicken and waffles you can fucking imagine at that restaurant. I'm pretty sure the chicken that the fried chicken came from to make this chicken and waffles was alive that morning, had a name, and died by being drowned in buttermilk, because that shit was perfect. Breaded, fried, fresh, vanilla waffle, yeasted waffle, so the perfect crunchy and fluffy on the inside. Maple reduction, because fuck syrup. Who needs syrup? We can just make maple reductions. A little bit of basil, a couple of sprigs of rosemary. Okay, I may go to Battle Hardened Richmond just for the chicken and waffles. That being said, we'll put a pin in that one, but we also get Worlds confirmation later in the article, talking about the Worlds that will be in Europe somewhere. I don't know exactly where. It doesn't say in the article. Doesn't seem right for speculation. I would love them to put it in like Amsterdam or Munich.
I'm fine with speculating.
Then speculate.
I'll just say, as somebody who, I was blessed to visit this city not once but twice, and I fell in love with it. It's beautiful. I loved walking around it. I had some of the best times of my life there. I just really hope it's in Kyiv.
Kyiv would be pretty incredible. I would really enjoy that. I'd love to spend time around the Fabrica guys.
I'm also just putting that out into the world because I hope that,
that Russia fucks off. Yeah.
Stop trying to kill my friends. Like, that would be nice. But no, I mean, obviously it's not going to be there. There's no way you could logistically start planning for something like that now. But I just wanted to say that in the future, when Russia finally fucks off, I would love to see some Flesh and Blood events there, because that city is actually amazing.
Yeah. I've never been to Munich. I would love it for it to be in Munich. Amsterdam is very cool. Would definitely do Amsterdam. So my
I would like to
intention,
do, so like Munich, Amsterdam would be great. The other one that I don't, so like logistically, I don't know what the travel is like there, because I'm sure that they want to go to some place that's going to make it like the easiest to get to, and a hub. And you also have to like take into account it is kind of in the winter time of year, which I think is a knock against some of them. So like I could also see it being someplace more southern Europe, right? So
sure.
Yeah, Greece. It could be somewhere, Spain, Greece, Italy. But like
Portugal.
I'd love to go to an event in like Oslo.
Oslo would be nice.
But I would not be surprised, given the time of year and whatever, if it was
Barcelona,
Rome, Madrid.
Yeah. Athens.
I could see Madrid, Athens, something like that. And I'm fine.
Yeah.
I want to go to all of those.
I want to go. Yeah, like obviously that is something that I will take longer. Like I'll just take a longer time. Hop on a plane.
I know you don't listen to this, but hey, LSS, I am available for hire, and I have a passport. I have worked internationally. I'm an industry professional with years of experience. Hit me up.
A clean record, may or may not be RoboCop. So all those things are possible.
Hire me. You have 5 seconds to comply.
Also, LSS, if you wind up, putting that satellite office in North America, hit your boy up. I'll be glad to quit corporate America to come work for something that I have a passion on. Not to be outdone by this LSS announcement, but The Realm is back at it again. Does Keith ever take a fucking break? I need to know.
Madman. When he, first of all, I'm very happy for him and some of these events, but when he posted the thing that we're going to get to at the tail end of this today, I immediately started sharing it with a bunch of people saying Keith is an absolute madman. I love his ambition.
It's weird because we understand very contextually that Keith is a madman. What gets lost is that Jacob is equally a fucking madman. They are both absolute crazed lunatics that just do shit because it sounds fun.
The thing you guys have to understand, if you've never had the pleasure of meeting Keith and Jacob, because they are very kind, welcoming people. They are wonderful to be around. They are very unassuming. And yet they are not just like ambitious, but just always ready to say yes. Like the planning conversations between Keith and Jacob go something like this. And I know because I've witnessed it personally. Jacob will say to Keith, like, hey, so I've been thinking, but he doesn't even get words out. At that moment, Keith goes, yeah, we should do it. And then Jacob will smile and he'll like, but I just want you to know. And then Keith goes, I'm in. And then that's it. Like it's that level of just like, we're just willing to do anything and everything, like for the game, for the community. And it's just wild to me.
So last year, about mid-year, Keith and I and Jacob and Abby and Jordan and some other people had gotten to conversations about the Realm being a circuit, right? Like the Realm events having a final battle type of thing for a larger prize pool. I've worked in those in Magic for years, and we set one up within Iowa that is extremely popular. Still going right now. Very cool. And people really flock to them. They think it's awesome. However, Keith decides that that's not quite good enough. And so he decides that he wants the prize pools to be bigger and be 5Ks for the qualifying events and a 20K at the end of it. Fine. I'm not going to tell him what to do with this money. And then he decides we're going to partner with the different stores and put these events in different places. That's a great idea. Great publicity, great way to grow the game. All this is cool. Love it. 5Ks on Saturdays that qualify for this bigger event. Ship it. This is a great plan. And then we're sitting there minding our own business. And Keith usually doesn't hold too much out from us. However, we did get blindsided on this one because everything happened in rapid succession and Keith just didn't say anything. And so we open up this announcement to go, hold on. The Realm is hosting Battle Hardens in Pittsburgh and Salt Lake City? What the fuck? So the Brawls are Battle Hardens? Oh, no. The Brawls are not Battle Hardens. The Brawls are the 5K qualifiers. The Sunday events are Battle Hardens, and these weekends suddenly matter a fuck ton.
Yeah.
Not that they didn't matter already, but they just, the ante got raised.
Yeah. And because of those upgrades, right, there's PTIs now involved, gold foils involved, like everything just immediately got drastically improved, right? Like the ante got upped. Like I opened the announcement expecting, it to mention the circuit stuff, and it was like, oh no, like that we're still doing that. Don't get me wrong, but like Battle Hardens too. Why not?
So if you're the type of person, and this is amazing because if you're the type of person that would travel for a Battle Hardened, you're probably now the type of person that's going to try to qualify for the Realm Circuit Invitational at the end of the year because it's the same weekend. And
there's no reason not to, and it is a definitely non-zero sum of money that you'd be competing for at the end of the year.
And the other part of these is that there are after parties. There are stories that we cannot tell on podcasts that we will recount in person because they're not on wax that you can then become part of, whether you like it or not sometimes, or whether you remember it or not. Sorry, Elaine. But I think she remembers most of it.
I mean,
I'm not sure though.
She's not the only one. There's a few people that I don't think remember a few conversations or even working production the following day. But
no. Did you know that Elaine Hammondtree's middle name is Laundry? I found that out earlier. Yeah, weird. Also, because of the kind of close nature of things, the Chicago Brawl weekend does not have a Battle Hardened attached to it. However, there is a PTI event attached to it still. So while it's not a full-on Battle Hardened, they do have a PTI event going on, I believe, on the Sunday which also has a gold foil attached. So it might as well be a Battle Hardened. It just isn't a 2-slot.
It is I've been affectionately in my brain calling it a Battle Softened.
Because of course you have.
Of course,
why wouldn't you? Can we just call it a Battle Firm? Is that fine?
Sure, if you want.
Because it's not soft. It's just not as its turgidity is marred by how not hardened it is. You know what? I'm going to stop this sentence.
If it wasn't for copyright reasons, I'd call it a Battle Extends, but
I'm pretty sure that company's dead. You're good. Just saying. Forhims.com, I think, God, no free ads, I think has cornered the market on the other end of this again. So we're good there. The one thing that really upsets me about this announcement, there's one thing about this announcement that saddens me to an epic degree. And that is our Team Seal events died. And
for the greater good, but yes.
So my thought is, because almost everybody involved listens to this show for some unknown fucking reason, but my appeal to the greater good, to the greater sensibilities of all involved, is that we need to make sure that Fridays have Team Sealed events that replace the Team Sealed that we're losing. Because the most fun I've had playing Flesh and Blood, and it was both times, was Uprising Team Sealed, which is not that much fun in a vacuum, and still was the most fun. Yeah, still the most fun I've had playing Flesh and Blood was playing Team Sealed. So, John, that fire station can't cost that much money. Rent that bitch out. Friday Team Sealed. Make it happen. Know you want to, buddy. So about that cruise ship.
If we can't make it the Friday work, then I will be on the stump clamoring for the Speakeasy Team Sealed. But about that cruise ship.
About that cruise ship. So for anybody,
this is the thing where I was like, hey, Keith is a madman, and I started sending it to like anybody who I thought might even remotely care, because it is the most ambitious thing that I think any independent, like, third-party tournament organizer has attempted for Flesh and Blood in the game's history. And it takes a lot for me to say something that grandiose, but listen to this pitch and then tell me I'm wrong.
So for those of you that poo-poo the power of social media, at some point in time, there was a discussion going on Twitter bandying about conversation and about doing Flesh and Blood on a cruise ship, making jokes about Battleship and the Bruise Cruise and all these things. It was a fun little conversation, and I did what I do, which is I tagged the Realm Games, because if there's somebody crazy enough to try to do this shit, it's the Bartrams. Well, they are crazy enough to try to do this shit. And now we have dates for this. If you're interested, we will put we're going to put the website in the show notes, and it's more of a gauging interest before they're opening up signups, but you're looking at, I believe it's $475 for your meals included, all inclusive on a cruise ship to the Bahamas. That also has Flesh and Blood events involved. That rate is for a dual occupancy room. But we have a plan all of a sudden about how going on a Royal Caribbean cruise to play Flesh and Blood actually works. There are dates, January 4th, I believe.
Yes, because the feeler that he said was essentially, in order to make sure there's enough space to run events on the boat, there was specific dates we had to target to get the right size of ship with the right area and whatever, because like the idea is like, obviously you're taking a cruise, but there's going to be fab events. And I've heard some of the ideas. I know nothing's set in stone, but I've heard some of the ideas thrown around and they sound really cool.
It's
so
that shit.
Like, if this is something that actually happens, it would be, I think, one of the best Flesh and Blood weekends of all time. And I'm not just saying that because of the cruise, just because some of the events that, again, I've heard thrown around. Like, this is amazing for somebody to just say, hey, you know, I could just run events, but like, how do we push the envelope? And that's what Keith keeps trying to do. And that's like I said, why he's a madman. But I love him because he keeps trying to do things for the community. I know I've said it on previous shows, but the thing that always stands out to me about the Realm is that they aren't currently an LGS that is like, we're a Magic LGS that also does fab. They are very clearly somebody who cares about flesh and blood, and they want to do things for our community, right? They want to do these events where they partner with stores across the country and start circuits and start doing battle hardens. And they were, again, like, hey, let's do this for, you know, a cruise. This isn't, you know, the Realm Con where there's going to be magic and also flesh and blood. This is strictly like the fab cruise. And I think that in and of itself sends the biggest message to the community about, you know, their stake in it, right? They want flesh and blood to succeed, and they're ready to be a big part of it. And so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think the most interesting dichotomy for me has been when I started interacting with the Realm was right towards the beginning of the show, which, you know, we're 64 weeks in. Have not missed a week, ladies and gentlemen. Still, to this point, I pause vacations to record this fucking thing because I love doing it for you people. And for me, it's really. Okay, RoboCop, pump the fucking brakes. But they went from being an LGS to being a brand in under a year. That's incredible. They're doing things, they're pushing envelopes, they're trying to make this community understand how loved and appreciated they are, and by providing these opportunities that don't exist elsewhere, and it's incredible. And also by the humility might be the wrong word, but I'm using it. But just to say, we want to partner with other stores. We want to partner with other LGSs. We want to partner with other people because it's the best way to expand the game. That's nothing but loving the game. And yes, they're a business. Yes, they're in it to spread their own brand and make money, but they are firm believers. And I really hate that this is going to be a pun right now, but they're firm believers in that a rising tide lifts all boats. Let's get on that fucking boat.
Welcome to the dark side. I'm puns before you know it.
I really hate the fact that my favorite analogy for that type of thing fit right into this entire conversation in a way that made me seem like a punning fucking idiot.
Well,
but it's true.
You just have to be part of the group now. I don't want you to feel like an outsider.
Also, Okay. Okay. Also,
I'm sorry. Was that when the pits?
It was the pits. You are correct. At this point in time, this is our best opportunity to make sure that we get Flake in a Flesh and Pod Speedo is for this boat trip to happen. So that's also on the menu, and we're going to see if we can make it happen. The current plan would be to leave from Orlando, sail for 4 days, an excursion for a day on a private island, because why not? And then sail back with fab events interconnected to everything else you're doing on the ship. So
Was it Orlando or Miami?
I thought it said Orlando, but I mean, we can check me in real time.
I'll double check while you're going, because I just want to make sure we give the right info, because I know at least at one point the conversation had said Miami, and
Keith is very he is not geographically sound, so he may think that Miami and Orlando are the same place.
That is also very likely. So yes, Port Canaveral, Orlando is what the website says. So I will go by that, because that's likely direct info that he's received from
copy paste
the cruise place. Yes, but I know for a fact he has verbally said the words Miami to me before. So,
correct. Yeah.
Orlando, yes, Orlando. So Orlando's nice, but also Bahamas pretty solid.
Also facts. And then we do have proud fappers in Orlando as well. So we'll be able to make it a little bit of a party at that point in time as well. And you know who you are. Let's go with that. Let's move on to listener questions. We've somehow already burned an hour, so we only have one listener question, but it's a lot because Big Lou and Word Economy are not friends. However, we do appreciate the questions and appreciate the dig in. But Big Lou asks, over the next few weekends, I'm helping a buddy of mine sort almost 7 cases of unsealed product from WTR to Everfest. He did a hell of a buy-in and now wants to crack it all open. Call me. I love cracking packs. Which leads me to ask, how do you and Darick sort your cards? Darick doesn't. First / unlimited by set and collection number, or foils and promos separate, fables in a vacuum sealed climate control case? Hell no. What about heroes in the pipeline to build? I'm also looking to redo my collection, so every build helps. Okay. Since Darick has been in the process, I'm going to turn it over to him first, and then I will go through my process.
Wish I had an easy way to turn my camera, but that wouldn't help the podcast listeners anyway. Most of the time, you are correct, sir. I don't sort. It is just piles on tables in my office that are outside of camera view on both sides of me. However, as I have recently started going through the process, the system that I am adopting is mostly to help me for when I do decide that I want to build a hero. And the way that made sense to me was to sort things first by set, right? So every set has like its own spot in the 4-row or in whatever container it's in. And then each set is then broken down by either class or talent. I don't do it necessarily by the collector's number though, because sometimes that doesn't make sense to me. I like doing classes first and then like talents second and then generics last in my mind. And then once I've got it down by the classes or talents or whatever, then I try to do it alphabetical and by color. Now, I will say that I also, just because it's easier for me, I separate my majestics out, because those are usually what I find that I'm missing the most. So when you think about like what's in the pipeline, if I know, hey, I want to build ninja, but maybe off the top of my head, I only know that I have like 2 ancestral empowerments or whatever, right? I'm just making something up. It's much easier for me to identify that if my majestics are somewhere else. And then what I consider like the bulk, which is the commons and the rares, those are what I've sorted into the boxes. So that's how I'm currently doing it, but it's kind of a hot mess at the moment, but that's what made the most sense to me. I will say my advice would be to do whatever makes the most sense to you, because you're the one who has to use the system. This isn't a public library, so you don't have to like abide by the Dewey Decimal. If something is like just the way your brain works, like you could, right? But I'm just saying, like, do what works for you. That would be my advice. I'm curious how you sort yours though.
So this actually came about from a very, very early episode. I was struggling with organizing, and a listener said, this is how I do it. And I adopted it because it makes total sense to me. So what I do, every set has a binder. And every pocket, and so it's done in set order. Every pocket has a playset of the card in the pocket. If I don't own a playset, which is a 0% right now, but if I don't own a playset, the card is flipped up. The front card is flipped upside down to tell me I need this. And foils are sorted in until I can unfoil it. At which point, the front card is always the foil. That would tell me that I have a foil I need to replace. And as soon as I get a regular, the foil comes out and the foils go in their own box. Promos are separated into their own book. So I just have a promo book. It is probably the most expensive Flesh and Blood book I own. Just because there are some pricey fucking promos.
Yeah, there are.
And that's just where all the promos go until but a lot of times for like heroes, I will use promo versions. So rainbow foils are cold foil versions. Same thing with weapons and stuff like that. But that is the long and short of the sorting system. I try my damnedest whenever I'm building decks to only use commons and rares from bulk rather than pulling them out of binders, so that everything's kind of intact. If I do pull something out of a binder, I have a spreadsheet that, if you're in our Discord, which if you're not, you're making a mistake, in the, I believe, other Fab content channel, if you go to the pinned messages, there's a spreadsheet that the venerable Teague Watson has put together that has that he has done for every set, that has a listing of all cards. You put in the number that you own, and then the spreadsheet tells you what you're missing, and actually has a button to push that then generates a TCG player card for all things you're missing. So it's brilliant. It works great. I use that to keep track of my collection to make sure what I'm listing. That's how I knew when I was done with Dynasty. But that's how I do it. And it makes sense. When I have piles of cards, I know that they're just bulk. Like, I don't really have to give a shit. And it makes life quite a bit easier. There is the problem of, as the game grows, there's more and more binders, which is kind of awkward. I do have a hashtag no free ads BCW card house that is sitting with the bulk for each class inside of it. And then I had a 800 count box for foils, but I happen to have way more than 800 bulk foils, or what I called bulk foils. Turns out they weren't exactly bulk. There was some stuff in there that definitely wasn't. Like, when I found that I was like sitting on not Heart of Final, but Atoma Finals in there, and that are foil, Time Snap potions, energy potions. I found a couple of legendaries in there. I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe I needed to be better at sorting my bulk. But the long and short is that lets me keep track of what I have, what I'm missing, and then when new sets come out, it's a pure sort. It is crack, sort, binder, go. So the first two boxes, I will crack, full sort, and then binder those two boxes, and then know exactly what I'm missing. By the time I've cracked a case, usually the rares and commons are done or close to it. And then I'm just able to sort the Majestics out, and it's a quick process from there. But yeah, that's it. That's what I do. I would recommend it. It does make a lot of sense, and it is pretty easy to manage.
If I owned more binders than I do right now, I would do it that way. But I'm light because I had converted to digital card games for a good chunk of my time until basically post-COVID. Like, I started playing Flesh and Blood like many people during lockdown, and so I hadn't had a reason to own supplies for like 10 years. And then when obviously the pandemic hit, there was all of the supply chain issues. So like, there was a time I remember buying a 4-row box was like ungodly expensive, and binders were awful. And I was like, I'll just wait. And so I've been picking stuff up when I see it reasonable, but I'm actually still pretty short on like sorting supplies, which is part of the reason that I have so many piles. But you made my heart skip, and that is again, pun very well intended, when you said hard to find all, because I still don't own one, and every day they grow more and more expensive, and I just grit my teeth and I cry inside. If you have an extra one, I will trade it for this Katsu reveal. Are you ready for it?
You don't have it.
You're right, I don't, which is why you're safe. Yeah. You don't have to give me a heart. It has still not updated.
there's a sealed case of WTR right there. Like, it could be there. I don't know. But it's also a Japanese case, which they're more frequently in Japanese cases, so it's possible.
I also just really like the card like stock in the Japanese ones for some reason. Like, I liked that print run.
So the Japanese generic print run I like a lot, but I like the Belgian foils more. It's weird.
Yeah. No, it's because the Japanese ones I felt like were darker for their foiling.
And waxier.
Yeah.
That was my bigger thing. But for binders, like, I totally agree. I went, and when I decided to do it this way, I bought some very, very inexpensive ones off of Amazon, because there was only, at the time I did it, there was only the 5 sets that was through Tails. So WTR, Arcane Rising, Crucible, Monarch, Tails. So there's just the 5 sets, and I bought 6 binders in a rainbow of colors. But I don't buy those binders anymore because they're just kind of shitty. They're fine for now, but they're going to be upgraded. Like, I'm going to change them out. And so now I buy the Ultra Pro zip ups, which are like $30, but at the same time they're sturdy as hell. And they try to make sure that every set has its own color. So every set has a different color binder. Yeah,
I think the one zip up I'm using right now is one of the Game Genic ones that I really like.
Also very nice. Yeah.
That's got all my expensive stuff in it, and most of that is promos. It's funny when you were like the promo binder might be the most expensive. I think the most expensive cards that I currently own are promos because I don't own a heart. The eye, I haven't checked prices lately. I have an eye, but it's just a rainbow 400? Foil one. So like that one's probably my most expensive, but I've got a lot of the like cold foil adult heroes that are usually around, 150, 200-ish that are in there from like winning events or whatever. So
yep. I have Rainbow Foil Phi, which is actually just randomly expensive. Phi Rising Rebellion, so adult Phi. Because the only way you could get them was at the premiere events at Vegas and where was it? Sydney and Madrid. And so, and every team got handed one of each hero. And so I ended up with the Phi. And so that's the one I use because it's the most rare version of Phi Rising Rebellion. Which is still humorous to me. I mean, it's totally amazing. Okay, well, we do have our first giveaway of the year. It is live on Twitter. So if you go follow us at FleshPod or look, it is live out there. It's as simple as follow us and retweet the contest post. We will be announcing the winner on our next show. That is for a speakeasy ticket for the Chicago Brawl weekend. I would encourage you to not enter unless you're going to be there. Otherwise, I have to keep redrawing names. It's a pain in my ass. So please only enter if you plan on attending, but we also hope you plan on attending because we will be there doing crazy shit. That's about all I got. The merch store is still live, so the link is in the show notes. It's also posted in the announcement page on our Discord. If you are having if you want to go take a look there, and if you're not in our Discord, you're making a mistake because it's actually quite a bit of fun to make fun of Flake in our Discord. He's getting a lot of run today, isn't he? Like we're giving Flake a lot of airtime.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you start an amazing game show called Which One is Charmer?
It is quite a good game show. Literally nobody's getting it right. It just isn't a thing. So let's do a quick shout out to our patrons. The $5 and up tier, our associate producers are Andy and Kenny. Our executive producers are Chris, Nick D, Josh, Mike B, Popo Mike, Teague, Ed, May, Philip, and Taylor. If you're interested in becoming a patron, you can go to patreon.com/fleshandpod. There are 4 different tiers to pick from. I'm still working on getting designs that I like to update. I'm very picky. I'm just a picky bitch. to update some of the playmats and other materials for sending out, and also adjusting some things in the tiers to make them a little more enticing. We really got bullied into having a Patreon in the first place, and yeah, that's a thing. If you would like to find us easier, you can like and subscribe on iTunes. We're also on Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Podbean. There's some other one that somebody fucking asked about this weekend. I'm like, I don't even know what it is, but I guarantee we're on it. So you can find us anywhere as far as the show goes. We're also on YouTube. I have noticed that we don't have a ton of YouTube subscribers, which seems really weird to me. Considering like my wife's dormant gameplay channel for Fallout 4 has more YouTube subscribers than we do. That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, to be fair, I don't have many YouTube subscribers either. So much so that I posted in a different Discord that I was in. I said something about my multiplayer modes video to somebody, just
Great video.
like, hey, try these out, you know. It was actually to Dalen, and he was like, you made multiplayer stuff? So I linked him the video, and then Noah, aka Dark Odious, was like, you have a YouTube channel? And that's, I was like, yeah, Jesus. I know I'm horrible at self-marketing here, but
yep, that'll happen.
I think that's just the nature of the beast. All of the best channels have low subscribers. That's what I'm telling myself.
Then we're crushing it. Yeah, we're kicking ass at that point in time. Yeah, we're fucking monsters. But if you don't want to follow us, you can go look up a lot of our friends that are pushing for subscribers as well. We have a lot of people out there that are there. There's a lot of great content creators out there, and we should be trying to lift everybody up. But you can find us basically anywhere. You can also find us in our Discord. All these links are in our show notes, and you can find me at Logan Peterson on Twitter. Right now I'm tweeting at Dragon Shield about how upset I am because I just wanted to talk about this fucking card, whatever it says today, and I'm not going to get to. So it'll have to wait till next week. And that is upsetting. You can also find me. I also am usually the voice behind the @FleshPod Twitter. So if you see anything that's said out of pocket from that Twitter account, it's just me. And it does not reflect the show whatsoever, even though I just forgot to switch accounts. Oops. Darick, where can they find you?
So it doesn't matter because nobody can identify me anyway.
Not like, a picture, at least.
Why even try? Not by picture, but also like not by spelling. So like I'm Charmer on Twitch and I'm Charmer on YouTube, but it is Charm3R, so you'll probably get that wrong. And then that's Charmer on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, and again that's with a Charm3R. So maybe you'll get that. Now I do use my real name. It's not like I try to hide who I am. So you could search by Darick. However, my parents hate me. And so if you've never seen my name in writing, it's spelled Darick. And so you probably won't find me that way either. You'll likely find Darick Robertson, who's a fantastic comic artist, co-creator of The Boys. He, for some reason, follows me on Twitter. He's a wonderful human being. He follows me because we share the same first name and it's really awkward. But my point is that part of the reason I think nobody remembers me is because you also can't find me. So it doesn't, like, follow me if you want, subscribe to my stuff if you want, but like, I'm not your dad. I am a cop apparently, but I'm not your dad. So you can do you. Do follow Flesh and Pod though.
@FleshPod.
That's easy. Like that one you should be able to find. I have faith in you.
And if you have a hard time finding us on Twitter, you can email us at fleshandpod@gmail.com, and then I will email back with a link to follow us on Twitter. If you are that in the weeds and you can't figure it out, I will take care of it.
I will also personally send you a link if you can email me, and this is an actual real email address, Darick@charmer.com. So you have to get both my first name right and my gamer tag right. But if you can do it, that's a real email address.
Hard mode email. That is absolutely hard mode for most people to fucking email somebody. You do know that, right?
I do. And it's funny because even when I send people emails, they will reply to me and get my name wrong. And it's like, dude, it's in the signature. And you had to type it out. Like, I know you just hit reply, but theoretically, like you have to have seen that it's Darick in the email address. Anyway.
Honestly, I used to bitch about people getting my name wrong because it's Petersen, not On. I don't have a leg to stand on. in this conversation. They fucking butcher the ever-loving shit out of you.
My last name is Oswalt with
Not
a T,
Wald,
not D, T, Oswalt. And yet, the number of people who are like, hey, are you related to the guy who shot JFK is astounding.
I mean, you kind of look like him.
Since we're just airing it all, my middle name is Eugene, and the number of people who don't know that that's Eugene is also astronomically high. So you can't get my name right. Like, it's just not a thing. And it's not like I have a weird name. Like, I just have bad names. Like, that's what I've settled on. Like, my names are just bad.
They're just bad. They're not weird. They're just bad.
They're just bad.
All right. Well, let's get out of here, buddy. Hey, thanks. Thank you for coming on and being here every week. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Yes, you who has your headphones on right now for listening to us.
Oh, no, not this one.
You too, but the listeners who come for our shenanigans and for the ASMR.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means. I am so fucking old. I think it's a sex thing, and I'm not sure.
Just do me a favor. This is your homework for next week, because if somebody's mentioned about like Charmer fun facts, let's do Charmer teaches Logan ASMR. Your goal, your homework is that you need to go like listen to some ASMR. Just YouTube it, search it on Twitch, whatever. Just do ASMR and come back and let me know what you think.
Do I need to do this in an incognito browser?
I mean, it's not bad most of the time, but I would, just because you don't want to get like advertisements associated with it.
Okay.
There are listeners right now that are probably dying at the thought of you not knowing what ASMR is and Googling it for the first time. But
okay, I'm gonna get out of here now.
All right. I love you, buddy.
I love you too. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.